get started, yes. I do lead up the technical edge for water conservation, so I'm going to give a few highlights of that. I've already spoken about this in the previous sessions. I'm going to relate also some other research that we're doing that does connecting with it. This map here shows the counties we are active in. And what this is a demonstration and research effort where we are collecting data from about 30 farms. And we've got data collection since 2005. Collecting data on crop production and how much water it takes to produce the yields and the kind of methods that they're using. And also we do economic analysis. Is this better?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry. And so we have big data on this one, and so we want to capitalize on that by doing some other studies. And so I'm going to show you some examples there. This graph on the right shows the amount of water in the Ogallala aquifer that is in a perimeter that surrounds these two blue counties here, Floyd and Hill counties, which is the first 10 years of data collection. And as a percentage of 2003, since 2007, there's been a drop by 24%. So much for the 50% future desired condition in 50 years. We're already halfway there. Okay. So we are looking, of course, at sustainability, and people have different definitions of that, and the challenge is how do we define that in a situation where we have an extracted water supply. This is more than economics, because this has to do with what we're concerned about is the transition to a low water supply in agriculture. And we want to have a soft landing. That's how I define it, I guess. And so climate does figure into this one, and you'll see an example. So for the climate expectations that we are looking at for this area, of course, are warmer temperatures, and going on number 3, higher evaporation rates, stronger droughts, and so those have direct impact, a large impact on the crop production, the economics, and of course the water use from the aquifer. So what are farmers doing? Well, there is a transition from high irrigation to lower irrigation, and in some cases to dry land, but certainly the crop insurance program, the federal program that subsidizes insurance, is very important safety net. But this list, which I'm not going to read, lists various practices that the farmers are using to hopefully achieve a soft landing. And now here's an example of some of the data analysis that we've done, and this is only up through 2013. We got 2 more years to add to this. But this shows a crop yield response of corn, that is grain yield of corn in response to water received, as stated as a percentage of crop water demand. Now 100 then means that this is at meeting 100% of the potential evapotranspiration. Okay? And of course it doesn't make sense to add water to a crop above 100% evapotranspiration. But look at all the points that are above the blue line here, the 100 line. Look at all the points out here. And for cotton, it's the same thing. A lot of points way out to the right. And so we see this as a target area for us to really concentrate on to get these fields, these producers back over here. This green line shows the yields you get at around 75% of crop water demand. And from 75% on, there's no significant increase in yield. Now, it's also pretty noisy data when you get up here because lots of other things enter it, but we want to be in that 75 to 80%. Okay, and so this is a better place to be working that helps us define better this sustainability for crop production within our current situation. The 2011 is in red just to show you that a very severe yield here. Something else which is being done is to stagger the varieties, or to stagger the planting dates. This is sorghum, planted at these dates on the right side here, 15 days apart, and showing that with each date that there is a different time of peak water demand. Okay, so this way you can spread out the use of a particular well of different parts of a pivot circle or that doing that, so they're not all coming into high demand at the same time. So there are various agronomic practices that can be used this way. Another one I want to mention very quickly is variable rate irrigation, and this shows that with proper mapping and GPS controls that we can irrigate the areas that really need it, and not irrigate the that do not need it. And this is coming. Okay, now in the last few minutes I want to refer to some work being done by a graduate student in the Animals and Food Science Department, which is Tasha Ofine, sitting right here, and her advisor is Sarah Trojan. And this is some very good work comparing grain sorghum and corn. Distillers' grains. Okay? Distillers' grains are the part of the grain that's left over after ethanol production. Right? So ethanol fits into our bigger question of energy use. But first, looking at some how grain sorghum and corn differ. And this is a national database of crop response and yield to water input. This is rain plus irrigation, by the way, water input. And so it shows that at low water input, that grain sorghum yields more than corn. At higher water input, corn yields more than grain sorghum. Okay, so you have a nice trade-off here. And of course, grain sorghum is of a growing interest as a crop that can be grown under dryland conditions, whereas corn cannot be grown under dryland conditions here unless you have unusually wet. Now this is this is our own data. This is just another way of graphing, this time using a quadratic function to describe our corn yields. And this does go through 2014. Yeah. And then grain sorghum, showing again this crossing over point. But notice that the sorghum yield can never be as high as corn. I mean, corn yields about twice as much where you have adequate water supply. Now, very interesting work then being done by Tasha is taking the distillers' grains from corn and distillers' grains from sorghum and feeding them to cattle. Because in our feedlots, and feedlot cattle is the other very, very, very major agricultural production in the High Plains, is there any water savings? If you look at water use efficiency of beef production as opposed to just grain production. And so this graph shows this blue curve is the corn distillers grains diet, and this is kilograms of beef gain, live weight gain per cubic meter of crop water use. Now, if you take the inverse of that, that would be the water footprint. But let's look at efficiency. And so we have a maximum efficiency at about 500 or 600 millimeters of crop water input, and we are irrigating out here a lot, all right? In sorghum, then we do have a higher efficiency of the distillers' grains at the low water supply. And if you go really low, this will bend back down again. We didn't have it really low. Okay, so and of course a lot of calculations go into this one, but this is a very interesting way of linking the ethanol production sector with the beef production, which is a couple steps further. In fact, going all the way back to the crop water input of the crop itself. This is the rain plus irrigation that is used to produce those crops, now factoring out the distillers' grains. And then here is taking the national database of crop yield response and putting in her data on the beef gain efficiency and looking at what that would be on a national level. And again, we do have a higher water use efficiency for beef production under the low water situation. Under high water, like this is where we are here, we have a lower water use efficiency. Okay. Well, anyway, that's just a sample of some of the interesting work that we're doing, where we're trying to dive into the big data and relate our work to the things which can impact climate change response.